Hey, you guys. Welcome to Talk About It Thursdays. I am your host, Karen Bailey. Let me know when you're on. I would love to say hello to you. Happy December, everybody. We are in the last leg of the race for 2023, you guys. And I pray that it's been a good year. I pray that it's been a year that has shown you who you are. I pray that it's been a year that has stretched you, that's made you wiser, that's made you stronger in 2023. Because I honestly believe that every year we should be better and better. We have no excuse not to grow. We have no excuse not to evolve into the men and the women who God wanted us to be. So I look forward to seeing how the year ends, and I also look forward to new beginnings, which is what we'll talk about in January once we cross over into the new year. You guys, last year we talked about, last week, I'm jumping all the way back to 2022. Last week we talked about looking for things in all the wrong places. And I hope you got something from that, because I know in my own personal life, a lot of things I've searched for in my life, God already had that within me. And I was trying to find that in other people, and I never could. So sometimes we search for a while and then God turns the light bulb on for us. And I thank God that He's given me some of the wisdom that He has, and so that I'm not out there just aimlessly wandering. You know, I did a series called Wandering Woman. So I'm no longer out there wandering. I'm living my life on purpose. And that's what I pray for each and every one of you, to be able to live your life on purpose. Have some meaning to your life. Leave a legacy behind. So you guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. Today's topic is don't forget about you. You know, a lot of times we get so busy, you guys, especially this time of year, the holiday season. It's like right after Thanksgiving, everybody gets extremely busy. Everybody's all focused on Christmas and meeting deadlines and getting things done, you know, by the end of the year. You know, a lot of things, hey, Michael, a lot of things seem to just embark upon us. It seems like the pressure is on in December. And sometimes we just forget about ourselves. We forget how important we are. You know, while we're focusing on everything else, while we're making everything and everybody else a priority, what happens when you get run down? What happens when you get sick? So you have to remind yourself that you're important too. So don't get caught up in this trap of trying to make sure everything is perfect for the holidays. This season is supposed to be about love, you guys. A lot of times we lose our focus, especially, you know, when it comes to all the advertising and all the sales and all the checking the list, making sure we didn't forget about anybody. We do all of that and then we're exhausted. That's not what this time of year is about. This time is about loving people, loving yourself, remembering why we even have this time, remembering Jesus is the reason, you guys. We put too much into commercializing it. We put too much into appearances this time of year. So let's talk about today about not forgetting about you, because you are so important. You are more important than that money, that house, that car that you drive. It's all about you, taking care of you. So I want to talk to you guys today about how important it is that we take care of ourselves so that we can be there for other people. You know, most of us have a lot of people that depend on us, that look up to us, that need us for spiritual guidance. Some of them just need help in their everyday life. And sometimes we're that person that they reach out for. We're that person that they're looking at. We're that example. So why not be the example that shows people that you can take care of business, but you also take care of yourself? We need to show people that Self-care is not a bad thing. Self-care means that you can be the best person you can possibly be. So we need to remind ourselves that we all can get to a breaking point. Sometimes we allow the pressure to hit us so hard and we carry the load all year round. And you wonder why people break at this time of year. And your breaking point comes from continuous pressure, continuous stress that we allow. We have control over how much stress, how much pressure people put on us to do things. You have to set boundaries to protect yourself. You have to set boundaries to protect your mind. You have to set boundaries to protect your body. You have to set boundaries to protect your peace. But you've got to make you a priority. So let's talk about 7 steps to making you a priority. That's what we want to talk about today. How to get back to you, how to get back to taking care of you, how to get back to loving you. You only get one you. God only made one you. There's nobody out here that's anywhere remotely like you. So why don't we take care of you? Step 1. First thing we got to start doing, y'all. Stop forgetting that you're human. You are human. You will not get everything right. Number 1, cut yourself some slack. Nobody gets it right all the time, you guys. Quit feeling bad about what you can't do and focus more on what you can do. Celebrate the small victories. We're all gonna have failures from time to time. Don't dwell on that. Don't waste your life. Don't waste your tears on what you couldn't do. Enjoy what you can do. Focus on those things because that may not be for you. Sometimes we have to accept the fact that we can't do what everybody else does. And a lot of times we are so busy looking at the Joneses, trying to compete with everybody, stay with everybody. That is not always for you. You're right, Michael. Not always for you. You are human. Cut yourself some slack. Number 2, learn from your mistakes instead of talking about them all the time. There's nothing like people that want to always talk about what went wrong. And then you wonder why you have a negative outlook on life. You wonder why, people are not attracted to you. You're always talking about that bad thing that happened in your life. Yes, it happened. You've cried your tears about it. You have to learn to let stuff go and move on. Nobody wants to hear the same old sad story all the time. It's not that we don't love you, not that we don't empathize with you, but you need to take the needle off of that record. We're tired of listening to that because life goes on, you guys. No matter what happens to you, no matter how bad it is, no matter, who allowed it to happen to you, when God brings you out of something, get away. Leave it alone. Leave it in your past. The only time you should be talking about it is to share your story with somebody else. But don't carry that baggage into your everyday life. And then you wonder why you feel weighted down. You wonder why you feel sad. You wonder why you can't get excited about things. What are you carrying? What are you holding on to? That's your answer. Number 3, learn to laugh at yourself sometimes. Quit being so serious. We mess up. Sometimes you just have to laugh at yourself for being just so silly, being so, unthoughtful. Or you ask yourself, I knew better than that. Or you say, I don't even know why I did that. Learn to laugh at yourself. Laughter is good medicine. Laughter is a way of saying, you know what? I'm just human. I just made a mistake. Get over it. It'll be all right. Number 4, if you failed today, pray about it. Then go to sleep. And then get up tomorrow. Get up fresh tomorrow with new ideas of how to get it right tomorrow. Quit having sleepless nights over a failure. It's done. There's nothing you can do about it. You can't undo it. So you might as well strategize and find a better way the next day. But get your rest. Go to God about it. Pray about it and say, Lord, I really want to succeed in this, but I'm struggling. And a lot of times that's what our issue is. We won't admit to God that we're struggling. We won't ask for help simply because we've got this pride about us. We feel like we can do whatever we want to do. You can only do what God allows you to do. God had to show me that. It's if it's in God's will. So I had to learn, and I'm still learning, that sometimes when stuff is too hard for you, you might want to go back and talk to God to see if that's what you're supposed to be doing in the first place. And if it is, let him know you're struggling. He already knows. He just wants to be included in the equation. Number 5, remember we all have weaknesses, you guys. There's nothing like giving your life to God and vowing certain things and saying, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to do that. You have to be careful, because sometimes that right thing will come your way and it will exploit your weaknesses. And then when you aren't as strong as you thought you could be, you start feeling bad about yourself. You start withdrawing from people. You start running from God. Don't run from God. He knows you. He knows you. He knows you're weak. In our weakness, he is strong. So understand that God is our strength. Sometimes you're going to be able to resist things. Sometimes you're going to be able to keep your word on certain things that you're trying to break in your life. But then there are going to be times when you have times of weakness. And that's when it's good to have those people that really support you, that really love you in your time of weakness, that won't judge you. But remember, you're only human, you guys. And then number 6, I said this before, celebrate even the small victories. Because one thing about it, small victories lead to big victories. Everybody doesn't get the big thing all at once. Sometimes God takes you many steps to get to where you need to be. And you need to be excited about each step. Quit complaining because you're right here and you want to get there. Be grateful for where you are now. Be grateful for the progress that you're making, because if you're grateful now, imagine what you're going to be once you finally get there. Everything that you've gone through to get to where you've gotten to, you're going to be overly grateful once you get there. So celebrate those small victories and remind yourself that you're not where you want to be, but you're not where you used to be. And be grateful for that, because so many of us have just changed, over time. And we look back at our old self and say, wow, I can't believe I used to be like that. I can't believe I used to act like that. I can't believe I was in that situation. I hear myself saying that to myself all the time. I can't even believe I was that person 10 years ago that I am now. Understand small victories. Be grateful. 7, recognize your own cycles and bad habits. You have to get in tune with yourself, because you need to recognize when you're being triggered. You need to recognize when you're weak in an area. You need to recognize when being around certain people bring out those bad habits that you're trying to break. You have to discipline yourself, and sometimes you have to be by yourself sometimes just to get strong enough and to discipline yourself to when you do get around those situations that you won't be tempted. When you do get around those situations, you won't be so ashamed or so wanting to get along with everybody else that you follow the crowd. Because sometimes people are not wanting to be that odd man out that says, no, that's okay. Sometimes they want to be liked by everybody. See, that's a habit you got to break. Because being liked by everybody might work down here, but that don't work with God. You have to recognize that sometimes you won't be liked just because of the spirit that you have, just because of the discipline you have, just because of the way you carry yourself. And you got to learn to be all right with that. I had to learn how to be all right with other women rolling their eyes at me. I had to learn to be all right with people not speaking to me when I walked into a room. Hey, Christia, sometimes your spirit goes before you and people look at you and how you carry yourself, how well you speak and how you respect yourself, and they don't know what to do with you. But you've got to get over that people-pleasing mentality, and you've got to be the person you know you need to be. And then number 8, Make time to rest. Don't forget, you're not a superhero. So stop forgetting you're human. That's step one. Hey, Rashida, stop forgetting you're human. For those of you just jumping on, I'm talking about different ways that we can get back to ourselves, get back to taking care of ourselves. Step one was stop forgetting that you're human. Step two, stop letting people take your kindness for weakness. You guys, it's okay to have a good heart. It's okay to be kind. It's okay to be loving. But there comes a time when you got to recognize things for what it is. You got to stop sugarcoating people's behavior. You got to stop sugarcoating your own behavior, because sometimes we like playing the victim, you guys. We don't like to admit it, but we like being the one that tells everybody how we had to help so-and-so do this. We had to help so-and-so do that. So sometimes we're the problem. So stop letting people take your kindness for weakness. Number one, people-pleasing versus wisdom. You need to know when you're doing too much. You need to know when people not being honest with you. You need to know when that your Holy Spirit said, you know what, don't trust what they're saying. They giving you that sob story and talking and telling you their whole life story just to try to take something from you. Guess what? Your Holy Spirit will let you know when that don't feel right. And you need to listen. Hey, Teresa, to your Holy Spirit, and learn to choose wisdom. Learn to ask people the right question. I'm learning from people that always come to me with a little sad sob story, always needing something. I've started asking them a whole lot of questions. And you'd be amazed when you start asking them questions about how did this happen, how did that happen, and what happened that you don't have the money for this, what happened. Oh, honey, they'll go on. They'll find something else to do. That's when you know that they really didn't need it anyway, because they don't want to answer your questions. You have to learn, hey, Kinsley, to stop letting people fool you and letting people take your kindness for weakness. Number two, recognize patterns in people who are always asking for something. If they're only reaching out to you when they want something, that's a pattern, you guys. Quit making excuses for these people. Whether it's family, whether it's your friends, it is what it is. You're only important to them when they need you. Come on. We got to stop letting people take our kindness for weakness, because we have control over that, you guys. Number three, we need to learn to respectfully decline what you don't support or agree with. You don't have to give out any long drawn. When they ask you to do something, if you don't agree with it, your spirit don't sit right with it, keep it short and say, you know what, I'm not going to be able to do that this time, but thank you for asking. Keep it moving. You ain't got to give no long out explanation. You ain't got to make a bunch of excuses. You ain't got to lie your way out of it. Respectfully decline what you don't support or agree with. You have a right to do that. And anybody that gets mad at you because you say no, they're not for you anyway. They weren't your friend anyway. They weren't on your side anyway. Because we all have a right to choose. And we need to exercise our right to choose. Because so many of us with these kind hearts, because we always tried to go along and get along, it has caused us some major stress. It has caused us major anxiety, because we're always worried about other people. We're always worried about other people's situation, taking care of other people all the time. And those same people, if you needed them, most of the time you can't even find them, or won't even ask how you doing before they start asking you for stuff. So we have got to stop letting people take your kindness for weakness, because it's going to wear you out. It wears you mentally. Honey, trust me, I know. It wears you physically, spiritually, and we allow people to do this to us because we don't want to hurt their feelings. We always want to be known as the nice person, the sweet person. It's nothing wrong with you saying no. That doesn't make you any less Christian. That doesn't make you any less nice. That doesn't make you any less sweet. That just means that you have boundaries, that you are tired sometimes. You have a right to be tired. And don't let anybody make you feel bad simply because you say no. Number 5, let your yes be yes and your no be no. Like I just said, stop making excuses for your yeses and definitely stop making excuses for your no. You have a right to choose. You don't have to explain that to anybody. Number 5, don't tell them, show them by setting strong boundaries. Some people, you can ask them not to do certain things or not to bombard you with certain things, or not to bring certain things around you, that maybe, you're uncomfortable with, or maybe, it just doesn't sit right with your spirit. And it's amazing how you can tell people that something bothers you, or you can ask them not to do something, and they're just like little kids. They'll stop for a little while just because you said something. And then as soon as they think you forgot, they started easing in that bad behavior, easing all that stuff in that you already told them to please don't do this around me, or please don't bring this around me. So you have to stop telling people sometimes, and you have to start showing them by setting boundaries. Sometimes you just gotta disconnect yourself from people when they won't respect what you're asking them to do or not do. Sometimes you just have to show them and not do so much talking, because people understand action. Number 6, distance yourself from those who take your kindness for granted. When you do things for people and they're always acting like you should do it for them, or they expect you to do it for them, or they don't even have the courtesy of saying thank you or anything like that. Learn to distance yourself from those people, because those people don't really respect you. Because one thing I know, and one thing I try to teach my children, is people don't have to be kind to you, so be grateful when they are. People don't have to do anything for you, so be grateful when they do. We just got to keep that mentality of understanding that everybody has a hard time. And one thing about being a nurse, a lot of times people don't expect me to be human. And Teresa, you probably understand this, being a nurse as well. Sometimes they think you can go and go and go like the Energizer Bunny. And while you're good at what you do, you get tired, you get worn out. You need a break sometimes so you don't break. And people need to be more understanding of the fact that we're only human. And sometimes they take our kindness for weakness simply because we have a good heart. And the last one on this one is stop putting the needs of others before your own needs. It's always nice when you can take care of other people, but not at the expense of taking care of yourself. That's what I want to talk about today. Sometimes we give and give and give, and nobody pours back into us, and then we find ourselves on empty, or we find ourselves in need. So make sure you're not putting the needs of others before your own needs. Okay? So that was step 2. Step 3. Stop being afraid to use the word no, you guys. And I know that word is frowned upon, but that word is very empowering, you guys, because you get your life back sometimes when you say no. Sometimes we've said yes to so much, we are a slave to everything we've said yes to. And when you finally do drop it down or say, I can't do this anymore, I hate to tell y'all, this is going to be my last time being able to do this. It's so freeing when you walk away from it. And that's a sign that you were doing too much anyway. The fact that you feel free when you're away from it, the fact that you feel this sigh of relief, lets you know you were more than likely doing too much anyway. Because anytime you leave something that you're supposed to be doing, you're going to miss it. There's going to be a sadness. It's going to be bittersweet. But when your only feeling is relief, that you no longer have to deal with that, that means you were doing too much. That means you did not exercise your word no, and you paid for it. It was costing you something. So number 1, don't answer or respond so quickly all the time, you guys. Take time. Buy yourself some time to consider a decision before you answer somebody right away. Don't let anybody press you for an immediate answer. Learn to not answer so quickly. And buy yourself time to consider whether it is something you want to agree to, or if you even want to take that opportunity. Take the time to make an informed decision, you guys. Don't let people press you, because people are going 90-0 and they want you to give them an answer. You going to be able to do that? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? No, we don't work like that. No, if I don't have time to think about it, you can go ask somebody else. Learn to love yourself enough to take the time to consider whatever you're going to say yes to is going to do to your life. Number 2, don't let your emotions or the emotions of others control you. That's another thing, another reason why we don't say no. It's sometimes we don't want to hurt people's feelings. Sometimes we don't want to let people down. Sometimes people will get all emotional if you say no. You cannot be controlled by your emotions, and you sure don't need to be controlled by somebody else's. If it's not something you want to do, be bold enough to say, no, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to do it. If they want to cry their tears about it, if they want to throw a temper tantrum, let them. But if that's your decision, make your decision and stick by it. Number 3, consider the impact of what is being asked of you. And ask yourself, is this going to affect my health? Is this going to affect my time? And is this going to affect my joy? Make decisions based on what impact it's going to have on your life, because you're going to have to deal with whatever you say yes to. Because a lot of times, opportunities come and people ask you to do things, and in the beginning they talk about, oh, it's a big group of people going to do it, you're going to have some help. What happens if that help drops off? What if that help doesn't show? It's really going to impact your life now because you said yes to it. So make sure you're considering how it's going to impact your life before you make that decision. Number 4, stop trying to prove yourself to other people by doing things you don't have the ability or even want to do. But you're trying to impress somebody. You're trying to prove something to somebody. You're trying to get people to like you on social media. You're doing stuff just to prove yourself. You don't have to prove yourself to anybody. You are who you are. You don't need anybody to validate that you're important, that you are special. You don't need other people to do that. God already said that we were fearfully and wonderfully made. So who else's opinion do you really need? So you need to ask yourself, if you're always doing things to try to prove yourself or trying to look good on social media or trying to outdo somebody, there's something wrong on the inside. There's something that you need God to fix on the inside, because it don't take all that. God says you're that all by yourself. You don't need all that other stuff. Number 5, stop being afraid to lose people. This right here was a problem for me, y'all. I didn't say no to a lot of things because I didn't want people to be mad at me, didn't want people to leave me, stop being friends with me, stop dating me, all of that stuff. Being afraid of losing people is such a burden. It is such a burden, you guys. One thing I'm learning as I get older, I am not so in love with anybody that I can't lose them. If anybody in my life that want to walk away, I am willing to accept that, because you have got to understand, you have no control over other people's feelings. You have no control over other people's decision making. And if somebody leaves you because you say no or because you're not doing what they want you to do, let them go. They weren't meant to be in your life anyway. Nobody should have to feel like they're being controlled like a puppet. They got to do this, they got to do that to make everybody happy, to make everybody want to be around them so they don't lose anybody. That's no kind of life, you guys. That's being in bondage, and that's what you don't want. So stop being afraid to lose people. Let them go. That ain't the last person God made. Other people will come in and out of your life. Allow people to move around like they need to move around. It'll bless you. To let some people go on about their business because they was a problem for you anyway. You just didn't know it. Number 6, learn to trust your gut. If people ask you to do something or you're in a situation, people trying to get you involved in something and it just don't feel right, say no. Walk away from it. Leave it alone. Trust your gut. God is always trying to speak to us and keep us out of stuff. And sometimes you will get this eerie feeling. You'll get this feeling that something is not right. And every time you don't listen, every time I didn't listen to that feeling, it got me in trouble. Every time. And I used to say this all the time. I should have listened to my first mind. That was God telling me not to do something or not to go somewhere. And every time I went against that, it was a problem. It was a problem. All right? Step 4, make time just for you. I'm not talking about for the kids. I'm not talking about the hubby. Make time just, hey, Wendy, just for you. Number 1, you can make more money, but you cannot make more time, you guys. A lot of us are workaholics. Every time you turn around, we at work. But you can make more money, but you can't make more time. Before you know it, 10, 20, 30 years will have passed you by and you have not enjoyed your life. You have not taken care of you. That's why so many people, when they retire, they get sick. Some of them even get crippled. Some of them even pass on simply because they done worked their bodies so hard. They didn't rest. They didn't do anything for themselves. They didn't take care of themselves. Then when it's time to stop working, everything kind of topples down on them. Their health, all of those things that they've been ignoring, all of a sudden, those things get bigger and bigger in their life. And then they have all kinds of health issues, mobility issues, this, that, and the other, simply because they put money over taking time for themselves. We have an opportunity to do better, you guys. Make the time to take care of you. Make time just for you to take care of your mind, your body, and your spirit. That's my next thing. Number 2, recognize how your mental, physical, and spiritual health are essential. They're essential to your well-being. If you want to have joy, if you want to have peace, you got to take care of your mental, your physical, and your spiritual health. There's no other way. You have got to make that a priority if you want to have the joy and the peace that you deserve in your life. Number 3, making time for yourself will also help you clarify your emotions. If you feel like you're on an emotional roller coaster, guess what? You haven't taken enough time out for yourself. If you feel like 1 minute you mad, 1 minute you happy, you fussing and just going and just unhappy with life, when was the last time you took some time just for you? When was the last time you took you on a vacation away from everybody else? When was the last time you took care of your mind, your body, and your spirit? If you can't answer that, then that's probably the problem. And when you do that, you can start determining why you feel the way that you do. A lot of times people feel like they're depressed, they're anxious. It's just we've got so much going on, you guys, and we never take the time to get off by ourselves and try to understand, why do I feel this way? Why does this make me anxious? Why does this make me sad? And sometimes it takes people actually talking with a counselor to talk those things out. And the counselor ain't really doing nothing. They're just giving you time to yourself to be able to talk things out, which is something we don't take the time to do on our own sometimes. But when you do that, you can start talking it out and try to find out why you get so upset about this, why this triggers you, why you get sad about that. You need to deal with those things, and the only way you can is to make some time for yourself. Number 4, time for yourself improves your mental health and it relieves stress. Sometimes just that little walk that I take after work does me a world of good. By the time I get home, my mood is totally different. By the time I get home, I'm not even as tired as I was when I clocked out. You know, sometimes you just need to take a minute to breathe, a minute just to forget about everything that's happened today. It will help relieve stress. Number 5, taking time for yourself will also spark your creativity, and it will give you time to think about new ideas. When you're already going and everybody's calling your name, pulling you in all different directions, you don't have time to be creative. You're in survival mode. You're in automatic drive. You know, you're trying to get things done at a certain time because when you finish this, you got to do this and you got to do that. You got to stop the wheel sometimes, you guys, and just get off and say, you know what? I need some time for me, and you need to take it. Number 5, I think I'm on 6. Time to yourself will also boost your self-esteem. Simply because when you take time for yourself, you start reflecting on yourself. And you start setting goals for your life when you've got some time to be by yourself and just think about things, what you want to see happen in your life. You've got time to kind of motivate yourself and encourage yourself and figure out what your next step is. And they even say, number 7, that making time for yourself, it increases your intelligence. Simply because you're more of a thinker at that time than a doer. You know, you can logically deal with your emotions. You can logically, come up with solutions when you take time away from all the hustle and bustle and just make time for yourself. Step 5, I need y'all to figure out which one of these people you are. Are you being helpful or are you being a crutch? Only you know. Number 1, are you doing too much too often? Sound like you might be a crutch. Help is only supposed to be just a little bit. If you doing something for somebody all the time, you're a crutch. Number 2, are you always the first person or the only person they call? Ask yourself that, and you'll find out if you're being helpful or if they're depending on you to do things or expecting you to do things. Number 3, codependent versus independent. Codependent means they can't do nothing without you. Because of you, they have what they have. Because of you, they don't go anywhere else. Independent means, thank you for your help, but I got this. So if they're always depending on you and can't seem to do nothing without you, you're a crutch. Not my sink, not my dishes. We talked about that before. Learn to get out of the way sometimes. Everything is not for you to put your hands in. Every time you see dirty dishes don't mean you need to wash them. Sometimes you need to get out of the way and let the person that made them dirty take care of it. Number 4, do you help or encourage people to find solutions other than you? You have to learn how to teach people how to fish. It's fine to feed them, but you need to teach them how to feed themselves. They shouldn't always have their hand out for you to do something for them. If you do something for them, let that be your opportunity to teach them how to get it for themselves. Don't always be that person that hands it off to them and then walks away. Leave them with some wisdom so they don't always have to be begging or asking other people to do something. Number 5, do you practice not being readily available, especially for people that are users, people that are lonely, and people that are codependent? Sometimes the best thing you can do is not pick up that phone. Sometimes the best thing you can do is not respond to that text message. Number 6, this is the reason why. Most people are resilient. They will make a way with or without you. But you got to allow them to do that sometimes. And then there are some people that complain about helping somebody, but then when that person doesn't ask them for help, they get an attitude as to why you didn't call me, how come I didn't know. Let people figure stuff out for themselves and be a help and not a crutch to people. Okay? And learn to encourage them and congratulate them when they figure out that they could do something on their own, or they found a solution without you. Because sometimes we're the problem. Sometimes we're the codependent person. So recognize whether you're helpful or if you're being a crutch in the situation. Number 6, this is a 6th step. Stop allowing yourself to be that person's backup plan or plan B. Ladies, recognize, number 1, recognize patterns and excuses for behavior. If somebody's not responding to you and they say they're interested in you and they can go days and days without talking to you, or their phone is always dead, or they left their phone in the car, or my phone was on vibrate, all of those things, hey, Stan, all of those excuses, pay attention, watch the patterns, watch what they do, and stop allowing yourself to be people's backup plan or plan B. Number 2, set boundaries and limitations. Do not keep allowing people to hurt you and then run back to you. Because what's going to change? What's going to change? If they know they can always come back, what is the point in changing their behavior? So I had to learn that for myself because I was always so forgiving. And then I wonder why the behavior didn't change. Because they knew they didn't have to. So we have to love ourselves enough to stop allowing other people to use us as their backup plan or plan B. You know, they want to get out there, they want to see what's out there, and then when it ain't what they want, or if it ain't what they thought it was going to be, don't let people keep running in and out your door, that door of your heart like that, simply because you still love them. If they choose to go, if they want to be out there, fishing, sport fishing, whatever they want to call it, let them go. But you don't have to keep allowing them to use you as plan B when their first plan didn't work. Number 3, we need to learn how to get busy. As single people, learn how to be busy with your own life. Have a full life of your own. Therefore, you won't be so vulnerable to somebody else coming in and using you as their plan B. Have your own life. Stop being so accessible to everybody. Because when they can't reach out to you, guess what? They're going to find somebody else to use for a plan B. Number 4, train yourself to open your eyes to recognize when you are just another option for somebody and not somebody's choice. And that's not always easy. People know how to flatter you with that tongue and make you think like you're the most wonderful person in the world, that you're the only one for them, this, that, and the other. Watch those behaviors. If they're not treating you according to what they're saying, and if their behavior don't line up, then more than likely you're just one of their options. But you have the right to not be that. You deserve to be somebody's only choice. But we have to set boundaries. We have to put our foot down and say, you know what? I'm not going to be somebody for you to play with. You have to make up your mind that you deserve better than that. Number 5, command respect, and then respect yourself. Because it's one thing for you to try to command respect, and then you don't behave respectfully, or you don't even carry yourself respectfully. You know, the two have to walk hand in hand. If you're going to command respect, you got to carry yourself with respect. You got to talk respectively, not doing all that cussing and loudness, you know, that some of us do. You know, if you want somebody to respect you, carry yourself and show that you respect yourself. And don't tolerate disrespect of any kind from anyone. Number 6, choose you. You know, when a situation is not an emergency, or people are always throwing you into their emergency situations, get out of the way. Get out of the way. Sometimes people make their own problems and they constantly keep themselves in drama, and then they want to pull you in. Choose you. Choose to stay away from the drama. Choose you, and choose to get your rest and get your peace of mind back. Everything that's an emergency to somebody else does not have to be your emergency. Because a lot of times those emergencies that people find themselves in, they brought it on themselves. You don't have to be a part of that. Choose you. You don't have to answer that phone. You don't have to answer that text message. Choose yourself sometime. And number 7, give compassion without compromising your standards. And like I said before, sometimes people are good with coming to you with their sad stories, this, that, and the other. Don't let them compromise your standards. It's fine to listen to somebody's situation. It's fine to try to be understanding, show compassion, but don't let them try to pull at your heartstrings to get you to do something that compromises your standards. Some people just want to play on your heart because they got something else in mind for you, or they want to work their way into your life. So be careful. Be careful about giving compassion. Make sure you're not compromising your standards at the same time, because sometimes people look at that as weakness and they try to take advantage of you when they find that you have a kind heart and you're understanding. They feel like they can get over on you. They feel like they can manipulate you. So guard your heart. And number 7, 7th step, last step, is remember your worth. And remember, number 1, what you bring to the table. You have to know what you bring to the table when you come into a relationship, what you bring to the table when it comes to friendships. Make sure that you got your stuff together before you try to come into a situation with somebody or connect with somebody else, because you need to know what you bring to the table. You need to know what your strong points are. You need to know what you're good at, what you can bring to the situation, what you can bring to the team, I guess is what I should say. It's kind of like if you were thinking about football players, everybody knows where their strengths are. They know how to play their position. That's the word I'm looking for. Learn how to play your position. Therefore, you have to know what you bring to the table in order to play your position. Stand by your standards. Don't water yourself down. If you're strong in this area, be strong in this area. You do not have to dummy yourself down just to make other people feel better, to make other people like you. Sometimes those are just not your people. Be who you are. Do not let down your standards just to get along with other people. Know your worth, because sometimes God is trying to weed you from around certain types of people. That's why they don't accept you. So don't make yourself small just to be able to get along with other people so other people don't feel intimidated. If they're intimidated, they need to step up their game. So don't compromise to get along. If they don't respect who you are, let people move on. And then don't settle just because you're lonely, you guys. Singles, don't settle. I've done that before, and that's the worst thing I could have ever done. Do not settle because you're lonely. Number 2, don't let your mistakes cause you to be on the clearance rack. You are not on the clearance. You are not on the sale rack. You are worth every amount of respect. You are worth every amount of love. You are worth every amount of acceptance. Do not let your mistakes make you feel less than and make you put yourself on the clearance rack where you'll accept this and I'll accept that. Well, I did mess up in my past. Well, I have been married before and I have been divorced and I did do this. Stop doing that to yourself. The past is the past. Whatever you did, it's in the past. You're just as valuable as anybody that hadn't done some of the stuff that you did. And remember, a few bad chapters does not mean that your story is over. God is still writing your story. So quit focusing on what didn't go right. Learn from your past, but leave it behind you. Your mistakes don't make you less valuable. They make you more experienced. Because most of us, when we've messed up the way some of us have messed up, the holes and the stuff we've got ourselves into, we had to pull ourselves up out of that. We had to call on God. We had to learn some things. We had to gain some wisdom and some knowledge, and we have some things inside of us that a lot of people that didn't go through what we went through, they don't even possess some of the stuff that we have, because we had to go through some of those hard places for God to impart some wisdom in some of us. So everybody doesn't have that. So don't be mad at yourself or look down on yourself for your mistakes. Just understand, because of your mistakes, you're the person that you are today. And number 3, don't let your age define you. So what if you're not 25 anymore? You have a lot to offer, and you have a lot more living to do. You've got to choose to not worry about what age you are right now. Enjoy where you are and look forward to whatever God has ahead of you. Be grateful for what's behind you, but look forward to what's ahead of you. And then my final thought, you guys, is be good to you. Be yourself truthfully. Accept yourself gratefully. Value yourself joyfully. Forgive yourself completely. Treat yourself generously. Balance yourself harmoniously. Life is about a balance. Life is like, like a perfect song. You have to balance. It's going to be some highs. It's going to be some lows. You got to balance, and you got to do it with grace, you guys. Bless yourself abundantly. Trust yourself confidently. Love yourself wholeheartedly. That means you got to forgive yourself, you guys. Empower yourself immediately. When something gets you down, or you've had a time where you're just not feeling it, or a time when you feel like you didn't succeed where you needed to be, do what you got to do. Get up under my Lord, what am I trying to say? Get up under the, I can't even put it together because I feel it, but I can't say it. But when you're feeling discouraged, that's when you need to go to your word and get up under the grace of God. That's what I'm trying to say. Get up under the grace of God and let God know how you're feeling, and allow God to, through his word and through people that know how to encourage you, people that know how to love you, allow them to shower you, with positive affirmations, so that you can get strong again, so that you can understand that, one mistake, one failure doesn't define you. So make sure that you know how to empower yourself. Get in God's word when you're feeling less than, when you're feeling like you're a failure. Get into God's word and let God encourage you. And then give yourself enthusiastically and express yourself boldly. You have to understand, you guys, you're worth everything that you're desiring, everything that you're hoping for, but you have to believe in yourself, and you have to understand that until you love you, people won't love you properly. And until you love you, you won't have the joy and the peace that God intended for you to have. Thank you guys so much for watching. I pray you guys have a great weekend and happy December. I said that earlier before everybody was on. This is our last month of the year. We're going to finish strong, and it's all about love and taking care of yourself. It's not about all the gifts and running around and getting ready for the holidays. Remember to take care of you in the midst of all of this, you guys. Y'all have a great night. I love y'all. Y'all stay blessed. Bye.